I would like to begin with a show of hands of how many of you have pets, whether it be cat, dog, bird, goats. Okay. And I'm sure at one point in time, your animal has been injured or sick or wasn't feeling the best, and I'm sure you took the initiative to get it help, to get it back to good health in any way possible. But the unfortunate part is that there are many animals that are neglected and abused on a day-to-day basis, and they don't get that attention and care that they need to get them back on their feet. So, defining animal abuse from the online website called PAWS, they define animal abuse as the cruelty to animals that upon human infliction of harm upon non-human animals for purposes other than self-defense or survival. And on another online site entitled The Problems of Animal Cruelty, with the author of Kelly Dietl, she puts animal abuse into 3 categories, which include unintentional harm, intentional harm, cruel intention, and also hoarding is kind of a gray area between unintentional and intentional abuse of animals. So beginning with unintentional, it can be as simple as forgetting to feed your dog, or refilling the water bowl, or on hot days, leaving your dog outside for extended periods of time on a leash, and they don't have adequate shelter or shade to keep them cool. And another type of unintentional abuse would be if you have a sick animal but ignore the fact, and instead of finding veterinary medical attention or asking for help, you just shove it off in hopes that they'll just come out of it. And for this category of abuse encompasses a lot of the main cases of abuse, and a lot of this can be solved with just simple education and teaching them the basic needs of their animals and what they need to do in certain situations if they were to occur. The next category of abuse is intentional, and that can be anywhere from hitting or verbally abusing your pet, or in some cases where kids, if they don't know what they're doing, and they pull on their dog's ear, or they push them, and they just think that they're playing with them instead of realizing the fact that they might actually be inflicting harm on that animal, would also fall into this category of intentional. And another case would be peer pressure. If you're trying to show off for your friends and you see a stray animal and they're throwing rocks or something at them, and you don't want them to think you're scared or not cool, and so you go ahead and copy with them even if you don't feel like that's right. And then the third category would be cruel intention, which this would include people with the mental mindset that abusing animals brings them satisfaction, it makes them feel superior and have more control or power over other people. So they might be ones that would participate in dog fights, where they train their dogs by having them pull weights around and then throwing in smaller dogs as bait dogs to train them for fights that are upcoming. Other reasons why to fall in this cruel intention category would be to threaten others to get what you want, like telling them, oh, well, you'll hurt the family pet if they don't do such and such for you, or if you just want to take advantage of people, basically. And the last category that falls in between intentional and unintentional is hoarding, and there's 2 different subcategories of hoarding, which can be denial, which they have a lot of pets already and they can tell that they're not in the best condition, but with the bond that they've already created, they would rather see them in that poor state and condition instead of letting them go and get the treatment that they need. And then the second subcategory is what you call the rescuer, where they feel like they're the only person that really cares about the animals, and they've got to act and help any stray animal that they find they feel the need to take into their own home and try to take care of them. And then sooner or later, it gets so out of control that they have all these animals that aren't provided with the right nutrition, with the right shelter, and the right care, which ends up with animals living in an environment that is unsanitary, which then in turn leads to medical and health problems. And with them having that many animals and sick, they just can't keep up, and then eventually it can result in death. Some reasons why abuse occurs is, like we said, in the intentional and cruel intention categories of abuse, is that people feel the need to inflict pain on other animals because for their own satisfaction, they feel that they receive more power from being able to be in control of another animal. And this also they found in a online website called Information on Animal Cruelty, that they found a correlation between domestic violence and animal abuse. So in domestic violence households where parents fight a lot, the kids see this and they then take what they see their parents doing and they inflict pain on dogs, not knowing really what is wrong, that it's wrong because they see their parents shouting or fighting or whatever, and that's everyday life to them, and that's one way the animals are abused. Or again with the threats, if they want their spouse or family member to do something for them, they might threaten to abuse a dog or a cat or the family pet just to get whatever they want out of them. And then also the last reason why abuse is people are just uneducated and the real needs what their animals want. They ignore the fact, or they don't really think about what they're doing as being wrong, like leaving the dog out in 90+ degree weather, or leaving your pet in the car. They think, oh, well, I'm not going to be gone that long. What damage could I really be doing? So that is another reason why people abuse. They don't have knowledge really in caring for animals. And the aftermath of animal abuse is obviously, besides the trauma of being hurt, a lot of animal victims to abuse, they have a hard time being adopted just from all the fear that they have built up. They find it hard to trust humans again, and a lot of this results in euthanasia. And a statistic showed that 62% of animals that were victims of animal abuse could not be adopted from all the trauma and ended up being euthanized. So with this information, I hope that you are better able to detect animal abuse and use this information with your own animals, or if you decide to get an animal, to be sure that your pet is kept healthy and comfortable and lives a happy life.